The game follows Lorraine, a struggling single mother and widow with a troubled past, as she searches for her young son, Callum, who goes missing in Atlantic Island Park. Lorraine enters the park after her son just as the park prepares to close for the afternoon, only to find that nighttime comes unnaturally fast as she ascends the escalator and discovers the park to be abandoned, vandalized, and run down, as if several years have passed. Despite abandonment, the rides and lights mysteriously still function. Lorraine calls out for Callum and his voice calls to her, leading her through the decrepit park. Lorraine boards several rides which reveal the themes and backstory of the game. The Tunnel of Tales tells the story of Hansel and Gretel, this time with a new ending, in which after cooking the witch in the oven, Hansel and Gretel devour her. On a Ferris wheel, Lorraine remembers Callum's father, Don, a construction worker at the park who died in a fall from the Ferris wheel when Lorraine was still pregnant with Callum. Between rides, Lorraine expresses her frustration with Callum, her belief that she is a failure as a mother, her history of mental health problems, and her fear that Callum is becoming changed by some mysterious threats.
A lot of people idolize their children. You hear them talking about their kids and just the way they talk, their fucking voices make me want to vomit. My angel likes to read, and little Johnny is so good on the piano. Fuck those people! You give up 9 months of your life carrying them, you traumatize yourself giving birth to them, and then you spend the rest of your life as their slave. Wiping asses, mopping up piss, feeding them. Little life-sucking monsters who take and take and take until... we all go insane. Any parent who pretends otherwise is just dishonest. That's called choice supportive bias. I am honest. Callum really grinds my gears, and he owes me everything. Everything. It'd serve the little fuck right if I just abandoned him.
However, while aboard the roller coaster, a monstrous top-hatted ringmaster, identified in the credits as the Boogeyman, accosts Lorraine and claims that the witch has her son.
What do you want?
We need to talk about Callum.
What do you mean? What have you done to him?
That's insulting. You and your boy are everything that this place doesn't want. The antithesis of what we stand for.
Where is Callum?
The poor child. He tried so hard to do what he was taught. He even left you a trail of breadcrumbs. But the park is just so hungry.
Tell me where my son is.
The witch has him now. Has both of you. No happy ending here, I'm afraid.
Just leave me alone.
Fool. You always were.
According to the notes found throughout the area, the park's grounds are hinted to have a sinister history that tainted them, as a consequence of previous owner Archibald Henderson's actions, which the new owner, Mr. Winter, tried to take advantage of. Several notes indicate that he had found a way to unlock the power hidden beneath the grounds by harvesting the positive emotions of guests, and believed that the energy he unlocked would be enough to grant him immortality. However, workers and employees alike experienced feelings of anxiety as a result of the process, and a number of fatal incidents occurred. One noticeable case involved Chad the Chipmunk, the park's mascot Steve. The employee wearing the chipmunk suit became disturbed and reluctant to remove the suit as time went on, and ultimately murdered a teenager with an ice pick. Following Steve's arrest and the disappearance of over a dozen children in the House of Horrors, the park was forced to close permanently, drawing Lorraine's perceptions during the introduction into question. At last, Lorraine enters the witch-faced House of Horrors, still following Callum and remarking on the similarity between this and the Hansel and Gretel story. Inside, messages from Mr. Winter reveal that he retreated into the house with his machines when the park closed, hoping to achieve immortality by other means. However, the interior of the house changes to a loop of Lorraine and Callum's own home through time, where it is revealed that Lorraine's father abused and abducted her as a child. Her estranged mother refuses to help her in the belief that she ran away from home, and she suffered from depression when Callum was born and given electroshock therapy. As Lorraine passes through each version of her house, it becomes more decrepit and disturbing. At the end, she finds a message by Mr. Winter revealing that he needs children for his harvesting machines, and has already kidnapped and killed at least one in order to fuel his immortality. Notes such as these, combined with popular depictions of Winter in a similar ringmaster's garb and top hat, suggest that he is actually the boogeyman haunting the grounds. Lorraine reveals that in the oldest version of the Hansel and Gretel story, the cruel mother and the witch were the same person, and that she believes she is the real witch, apparently accepting that her neglect of Callum was the indirect cause of Callum's disappearance. Finally, she reaches Callum, lying unconscious on a slab. Chad the Chipmunk appears behind her, then is replaced by the Boogeyman, who forces a bloody ice pick into Lorraine's hands, then guides her hands so she holds the point above Callum's chest. However, he then releases her hands and vanishes, allowing Lorraine to stab Callum in the heart.
Callum? 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 Callum!
Afterwards, Lorraine is sitting in a police station interrogation room, clearly grief-stricken. A detective identical to the park gatekeeper enters, carrying a jar with a bee in it, and tells her not to worry about losing things and to think of the last place she saw her son. Lorraine narrates that, in her heart and mind, she will always return to Atlantic Island Park. Ultimately, though, the supernatural elements of the game are eventually confirmed to be true by the game's ties with the secret world and Lorraine's appearance in later issues of the game. It is left ambiguous as to how much of the park was real and how much was simply imaginary. And that yet ends another episode of History Behind the Horror. Now, this episode was actually an accident because this whole game was supposed to be a walkthrough for our Friday Night Fright last Friday, but we didn't get a chance to do it because I had some editing issues, so there was no video for Friday Night Fright. But this game was so good and I enjoyed it so much that I decided to do a History Behind the Horror of it because you know how good it was. And I do recommend anyone who likes a horror game that's narrated driven, who has somewhat of a heavy story or just story driven without cheap jump scares or deaths, to go ahead and check this game out because it was really good and I really did enjoy it. Also, speaking of Friday Night Frights, tomorrow is Friday Night Fright and we're going to be playing a special game to make up for the last 2 Fridays that we didn't get to do a Friday Night Fright. So make sure you guys be there if you're interested in seeing what new game we're going to be playing for the Friday Night Fright. And also, last but not least, if you did enjoy this video and you would like to see more games like this or stories like this that have narrator driven backstory, make sure you guys give this video a like. Make sure you guys also share it. It helps this channel out a lot. And thank you guys for the ones who did it for our last video. And leave a comment. I love to see what you guys want to see next and what you guys thought about the video. And make sure you let me know what horror game you think is recommended for Friday Night Fright or the next History Behind the Horror. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode of History Behind the Horror.